our weekly live book cover design live stream. I'm super excited because you voted. We're doing a dystopian cover today. I cannot wait to jump in. We are using Photoshop CC and Intuos Pro editing tablets. We'll call them Intuos Pro editing tablet. And I'm going to be using my blue light blocking glasses to protect my eyes as we are working so I don't burn out my eyes and I can continue to work. And we are going to dive in and create this cover together today. I'm so excited for this. We're looking at a girl who's going to be fairly up close on our cover, and she is going to have this gorgeous cityscape behind her that we're going to be creating. If you're jumping in, go ahead and let me know who you are and where you are joining me from, and if you are loving on those dystopian covers. I am such a big fan of dystopia, so I'm just going to put my frame up here. And we are starting from the very beginning today. This is the model that we are going to be working with. I'm loving how dystopian she's looking. She definitely looks like she is kind of in one of those facilities that we are oh so familiar with when it comes to our dystopian novels. Of course, not all of them have those, but that is definitely one of the staples. If you're jumping in, go ahead and say hello. I am just pulling up a hard round brush, 100% opacity, and I'm zooming in on my model because you can see she's definitely got a halo around her, and I want to make sure I take care of that and remove it. If you've got questions while we're chatting today, feel free to ask away and start thinking of a title for this dystopian novel that we are creating with this beautiful cityscape behind her. And I'm just using this hard round brush to kind of remove some of the pixelation that we had when I used my quick selection tool. Oops, I just took out part of her finger that I didn't want to do. And we're just going to continue to move this around the light area. Erica from Ontario, Canada. Hey, girl, hey. I'm excited that you are here and you popped on over from TikTok. So today we're creating this really cool dystopian cover. Y'all know I love my dystopians. And I'm super excited for this because I already have like story ideas, plot ideas. This is not my cover. This is available for purchase while we are on air. So if you're an author or a publisher and this is something that looks like could fit with a book you've got coming out soon, you can grab this while I'm on air, while I'm creating it for only $100. And if you don't, it's going back over to coveraday.com. So if you need details on how all this works, that's actually linked in the caption for this. And we are just cutting out our model here, removing any of the weird pixelation that we sometimes get when we do those quick selections. And I'm not going to worry about her eyelashes yet because it's probably going to be a lighter background. It'll probably be okay, and I'll be able to mess with it a little bit when we get over there. But for now, I'm just kind of removing anything that could potentially be very noticeable on this. I'm not worried about her hair just yet because, again, that will blend in with the background. But anything that's, like, noticeably different, so you can see how there's, like, definitely a line between her jacket and her hair there. So we're just going to take that and do that like this. I just got a notification. I was making sure you guys could see and hear me. But I am glad that you're all here joining me, and we're just removing some of this pixelation on her jacket here. I have books from back before I was published that I'm revamping, and I will be putting out at some point this year, probably. And I definitely am just like already in my head, I can see a scene with this exact look. I think I might have a cover for that series already, or maybe I don't. I actually don't remember. But this could potentially be one for that. Hey, y'all, if you're jumping on, I'm excited that you are here as we are creating today's cover. This is a dystopian cover, and look how cool this is. I do think I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I don't necessarily want her to be taking up the entire cover, but it does, again, depend on my background. So I'm going to go ahead, and the next step that we are going to do, oh, I see, I just moved that, sorry. Sorry, y'all. We are going to be adding in some more of the background elements. We kind of get an idea of where we're going here for this. So the first step I think that I want to do, I might take this back, but I think I want to add in a ground, and I want to remove the rest of that because I just want kind of like that concrete look. So I'm just going to put a white layer mask over that, and then with a hard round brush, 100% opacity black, I am just painting away anywhere I don't like. So I don't want that bridge. I don't want that background. I'm just going to tap on it and hold my shift button down and then move all the way over so that gives me a nice clean straight line. And now I've got my concrete back there, and I think I'm good to go. And I actually may I actually may flip this. So I'm just going to go into edit, down to transform, down to flip horizontally, because I kind of want the light. There we go. That's better. I want the light to be where she is. Okay. So I like that. I like how that looks so far. I did have an extra picture in case I needed to build out her hair, but I actually think I can get away with probably leaving it the way it is. Start thinking of titles for this one. We are going to create a city background, and then we're going to add the sky in. So my next step here is to actually create this background. I think I want, maybe I do want to add in that sky first. I am not sure. And you know what? I didn't prepare a sky for this one, so I actually have to go search for a sky for this because I was hustling to get on here with you guys, and I completely forgot that was the one section I did not have. So I am just looking real fast through my sky and the things that I can potentially be doing. And I'm just going to drag that down. And that's very big clouds. So I'm actually going to make this smaller. And then I'm just going to kind of build this out a little bit. So I'm just going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to move it somewhat over here. And then I'm going to put that layer mask over it. And then with a soft round brush, again, 100% opacity, once I kind of adjust where my layer is, I want it to be fairly even, I am just going to paint off of that layer mask and blend my clouds in. So you can see how that line already disappears. That does not go quite up to the top. Sometimes when I put in the frame, you don't see everything that you need to see. So I am just building this out at this point, and I am just kind of putting that, oh, I have a weird line in here. Let me go ahead and let me fix that. I'm just going to tap, oop, wrong tool. There we go. I'm going to tap that out so that it blends in better. Then I'm going to create a smart object out of that and add in a layer mask to move some of this stuff. Here we go. That way it doesn't look like it's cloned or anything. And that makes a little more sense. So then we've got this gap. So we have a gap down on the bottom. We definitely need to fill that in. So I'm going to go ahead and I am just going to duplicate all of my sky layers. I'm just going to turn that into a smart object real fast. And then I'm just going to pull this down. And I actually kind of like the darker colors almost right along the edge there. And then I'm just going to put a layer mask over that and get rid of those harsh lines. And oops, a little too much there. There we go. So that kind of starts to build it in. Then I see a very clear line here that I don't love. So I'm just going to grab my clone tool. There we go. Thank you very much. And I am just going to clone in pieces of this so that it looks like it is not cloned. And all of a sudden, we've got some unique clouds here. So now we'll deal more with the clouds in a minute. This is not how we're leaving those clouds. Those are very intense looking clouds. We're gonna build our city around it, and then we're gonna deal with the rest of the clouds. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put all the clouds into a folder, label that clouds, and we will leave that where it is. So my next step is going to be to build the city. Jordan, thanks for jumping in. Start thinking of a title for this dystopian novel. I'm so excited for this one. I am going to be building in a city behind her. There may be some bridges. There may be some extra things. I might have a staircase that we're doing, but I need to hear from you guys. So start letting me know, what are some of your favorite dystopians? What dystopian stories do you like? What do you think that this potential dystopian story could possibly be about? I'm just going to start to add in, no, I didn't ask you to do that. There we go. I'm just going to pull in some of these images that I could potentially be using to create my city back here, because I was hustling to get this done before you all joined me today. And so now I have to add them all in because I didn't get to do that before. So I'm just adding in my different city pieces, and I am just moving them off my screen here. I've got a really cool staircase. Nope, that's a bridge. Sorry. That one too. I'm adding in different like city pieces. So this is a very futuristic-y type building setting that we've got going on here. Here's the staircase. I'm going to put that right in there. And then we are just going to move over to this building as well. Okay, so now I've got my building pieces. All these building pieces need to come up above the ground level because right now they're, well, I mean, technically it could be like a little bridge type thing she's standing on, or the edge of a building. I might have to add a fence or something around that. We'll see. We'll see what's going on here. Hunger Games is great too. Yes. Mortal Engines. You know, I haven't read that one, but everybody compares my books to it. So it's something that I definitely have to check out. All right. So let's see. What do we got? We are going to go ahead and we are going to start building this out just a little bit. That is my big building. Let's see. This one is my staircase. I definitely want to use my staircase up close. That's going to actually be above my ground level. And I'm going to make this nice and big, as if we're just kind of putting this over here. There we go. So that she's kind of standing on like a building-y type thing here. After that, I've got this particular building, which I liked a lot. I kind of want that where we can very easily see that one. And I kind of like that it highlights the way that her eye looks right there. It really makes that blue stand out. So I think I'm going to leave that right there. And I'm going to call that the triangle building. Let's see. Oh, this is my little overpass type thing. So that potentially go somewhere over here, and we'll put a building in front of it. We're just going to label that one bridge. And this is definitely one of the building pieces. And I don't even know if that's going to be seen super well. So we might put that on the background. There we go. Two more like glass buildings, which are pretty cool, but also a little bit hard to see against that particular sky. So this is a different bridged section here. And that's probably not going to do me too much good, but you can kind of see what that looks like. So that may actually have to go. And then this one would be that other glass building. Oh, okay. That's starting to look pretty neat. What do you guys think? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate some of these, and I'm just going to move them around at different layers. Kind of like it in front of the tall building, but not in front of the glass building. So that might have to come down. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Let me find the other one. Oh, here we go. Is it not that one? It's not that one. That one's over there. So I'm missing one. This one. Here we go. There we go. Put that one in the front. I like that better. What do you guys think? So far, so good? I think I'm liking this so far. I do think I want to come in and I want to mess probably a little bit with those clouds and definitely change the contrast to make our buildings stand out more. So the buildings I definitely need to kind of build out on the back cover a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this one and put it over here, make it small. I'm actually going to go into Edit, Transform over to Horizontal. And I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller there, but it's kind of in front of that bridge. And I actually may want to grab that little bridge type overpass thing. I'm going to duplicate that layer. And then I am just going to make it smaller and put it over here a little bit. Just so it's kind of like a continuation of the bridge that we were looking at. There we go. And I'm just going to put a layer mask over it on a hard brown brush 100% opacity because I do need to get rid of the leg that's sticking out from behind that building. That's definitely not okay to stay there. So we're just moving that back and we're good to go. Start thinking of a title for this. If you've got them, go ahead and list them right down inside of my chat box as we're starting to build this out. I definitely want to grab all of my buildings because those are like a different depth of color for this. So I'm putting them all into a folder. And then I'm grabbing a brightness and contrast panel, and I'm going to use a clipping mask right to that, and I'm going to bump up my contrast. So I'm just very strongly at this point bumping up my contrast. And I actually bumped up my brightness a little bit too. You see how that makes it pop just a little bit more? I do need to do the same thing to my staircase. So I'm going to grab a brightness and contrast panel, and I'm just going to use my clipping mask right to that one. And we're just going to darken that up with the contrast, and then I might actually pop it a little bit with the brightness. This looks amazing. What are the dimensions that we started with? I have no idea. It's whatever I have for the usual template that I use. I have based this off of my own book covers, so is what it is. These are all able to be shifted into whatever size we need. So if you're an author or a publisher who wants to buy it while we're on air, this is going to be changed into the dimensions of your book based on the page size. This is made for a ginormous book. If you look at the size of that's the width of the spine, it is ginormous there. I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to work on my clouds a little bit, and I'm not quite sure what I want just yet. So I'm going to grab my brightness and contrast panel. I'm going to use that clipping mask, and I'm going to bump up my contrast first, because always bump up the contrast. And then I'm either going to blow it out by bringing that up a little bit, which I don't think I particularly love, or I'm going to bump it down. Wow. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we bumped down the brightness. I really like how that stands out. That is nice. That is good. So at this point, I need to start working on my lighting. I need to start working on blending her in a little bit because we can clearly see some of that halo around her. And I need to start working on like the title and stuff. Now, she is not exactly center in this cover. So I'm just going to center her a little bit more. I didn't know where I was going to be putting her based on my background. I'm just going to, there we go. There we go. So my next step is for sure going to be to come in here and zoom in. Going to zoom in even further. I have to get in really far with that detail, and I am going to then move this over, and I am going to start working on that layer mask. 100% opacity, hard round brush, removing any pixelation, anything that is not correct. You can see I took off a little bit of her finger there that I definitely should not have, so I'm just adding that back in. Make sure that everything makes sense inside of this image, because this is going to be one of those ones where you can see all of the flaws if you do it wrong. And so I'm just taking any of the fuzziness out. I'm removing any pixelation. I am taking away any haloing, because we don't want that with this. So I'm just checking over every piece of it. I'm just making sure everything makes sense. And everything is as it should be on this. I'm going to work on the hair in just a minute. Some of this is a little bit haloed, so I'm just going to come in and pull that in just a little bit. And we are going to add some hair in a minute. But I am just removing any haloing that I don't like. And we're going to come in and we're going to paint in that hair in just a minute. To paint in hair, you do use you can use either a hard brown brush or a soft brown brush. Doesn't really matter as long as it's only 1 pixel wide. And then you are just going to use your color picker tool to actually come in and grab the colors of her hair. So I'm just checking along her hairline up at the top right now. Anything that's not perfect, we are fixing that up. And then I'm just right along her forehead. And then the only thing I have to worry about up here is those eyelashes. So I'm going to make my brush really, really small right here. And anywhere, I'm going to zoom in like really, really far. This is going to be very, very up close and personal for this. And I'm just coming in on a very small pixel. I'm at 1 pixel right now. I am just going between her eyelashes and removing any section of white that does not work with that building. So we're just really very strongly, very refined, taking away anything that does not work with this building color blue. It would be a lot easier if I had picked a white background or a super light background, but we didn't. We picked the building, so here we are. And we're just removing this by hand so that when I pull back, you can see now that we don't have that issue anymore. Okay. So then the next step is to come on up here, and we are, oh, I see a little bit of an issue with my clouds now that I'm this zoomed in. So before I do her hair, let me go ahead and let me fix that so that nothing happens to it. So I'm just coming down to my cloud layer. And let's see. I'm just going to make this easy on myself. I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to turn it into a smart object. Maybe. Convert to smart object. There we go. And then I'm just going to grab my clone tool. And I am just filling in where that weird line was. Okay, good. Beautiful, wonderful, lovely. We are moving back to her hair. Back up to my model layer. I am going to go ahead and I am going to put a blank layer over top of that. I'm going to grab my color picker tool. I'm going to grab her hair, which has some like purpley tones to it. And then I'm just going to start painting in some stray hairs. So ladies, back me up here. Flyaways are a real thing. We struggle with them every day. And we just have to add them back into imagery. So whenever you see things, like if it's a harsh line that's cut out, you can tell it's clearly been cut out. If she's got the flyaways, then we're good to go because they're either painted in or somebody did an exceptional job of cutting these things out. So we're just kind of painting that in just a little bit. And the purple's not working in every section, which means we have to go to our color picker tool and grab that other source there. And you should be mixing these up anyway. Let's see, I'm going to add another layer because I'm actually going to have to do some changing of the opacities. And so I'm just kind of long strokes with this. I'm creating those flyaway hairs. Did not need to do that. There we go. The lower we get, the lighter the coloring is. So we're consistently going to be coming in and just changing the colors that we're doing. So we've kind of ditched the purple now that we're a little bit further down. And we are adding in more of those brown tones. Not that her hair is purple, but it has those purple tones to it because of the lighting when the photo was taken. And so we're just painting those in. The lighter, or the further down we go, the closer it is to the light source, which means we have to make sure we're blending things properly. And so we're just adding those things on. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in other layers here so that I can change my opacity, even possibly my blend mode. There we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull back on this one. And let me just put my hair into a layer and we're just going to toggle that on and off. Look at how we've just blended her in so much better. So much better. Okay. This is looking so great. Oh, I'm so excited that you are loving this. I need a title. It is title time. People, get in my comments. Leave me a title. Leave me some ideas. We'll come up with a title together. It'll be lots and lots of fun. I may add in a little bit of light. So I actually think I want to pull up one of my light flares and just kind of mess with that. Actually, I have a second idea. Okay, let me go back. I've got two ideas that I could potentially be working with. You know the drill. Sometimes I have to test these things out and check them out and see what's what. I'm going to come in this folder and see if I can find something. But what thing? Let's see. I need to go down under that layer, but over that layer. Sometimes you just have to find the layers you need. And I am just going to bring this in. And I'm just changing my blend mode to screen. Oh, I kind of like that. I'm going to soften it just a little bit by going into filter, down to blur, down to Gaussian blur. And I'm just going to soften that line just a little bit. I don't want it super, super harsh. So I can go like really blurred on this one. Ooh, which I almost might like. Let me back it up just a little bit. There, I kind of like that. It's kind of like she's standing in front of like a sunrise, maybe even a sunset. Which would also give me the power to add in a little bit of illumination down lower, which is what I am looking to do. So let me just pull in another one. And again, just changing the blend mode to screen. And that's a lot. That's a lot more than I wanted. Let me see. I don't think I love this particular one, but I like the idea and where I was going with it. So I'm just going to continue to look for something that might work in this particular case. I could potentially just duplicate that layer. Oh. Okay. I liked how that looks. I'm just going to reduce my opacity on that a little bit, but I like the brighter sun there. That's really cool looking. So then I'm just going to come and... Nope, it's just not working for me there. Okay. I see my deal. If you notice, though, if you're paying attention, you are going to see how you can kind of see the line on this. So I'm just going to put a white layer mask and then on 100% opacity. on a soft round brush that's pretty dang big. I am just going to be painting off around the edges of this so that we don't have any harsh lines. And because I duplicated the layer, I have to do it twice, once on each layer. And then I'm just going to paint back in where I want, just taking away that line. There, that's not bad. Okay. Okay, I like it, I like it. All right, so then my next step is to add in my title. So of course we know with covers in general, our title and our font choice of our title can make or break the cover. So we do need to make sure we're being very careful that we're using a dystopian or a sci-fi type font. This one is not going to work. That is way too fantasy. So we actually have, ooh, Into the Unknown City. I like that. Okay. Keep the ideas coming. I love it. We're going to find a text, a font that is going to work really well for us. And then we are going to grab our title from your suggestions. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to look and see what I might potentially like. And I definitely, with this, I've already got the preset effect to it. And I don't love it, so I'm changing it. And I'm just going to pick a dystopian-y color. Dystopian colors, man, those are real things. Those are very, very, very real things. And let's see. And you have to be very careful to get those right, because if you don't, it can make or break the way that you are doing your cover. So right now I'm just in my layer style panel, and I'm just playing with things to see how chill or how not chill we can make this. So we don't necessarily want all the beveling and embossing on this, because that doesn't always work. So it may go closer to something like that, but I'm not loving that particular font. So let me go ahead and let me keep trying. We're going to find some fonts that do work for sci-fi and dystopia. This is my least favorite part of these live streams and of creating pre-made covers, because you can work with what you've got, or you can make a custom font, which I much prefer. So I would much rather like have some extra time to be looking at things like this rather than just try to toss things together while we're on air. And I would much rather do the photo manipulation than the text as I'm looking through these things. Feel free to ask me questions as I'm just going through and looking for potential fonts that work. There are days when I just sit and I just like look through fonts to find things that could potentially work for this. And you'll know when it works and when it doesn't. And you just have to keep looking for these things. I'm totally blanking on my my staple dystopian fonts right now. Or I would just go right to some of them, and I'm just not even thinking of their names right now. But that's okay, because there's lots of different options, and we're just going through, and we're going to see what this is, and then we have to get that title. And so I am just glancing through and looking. I know you guys can't see all the things that I can see. I'm just scrolling through all of my... Why am I keep going back to the one, and I just don't like how that looks. But I'm just scrolling through, and I'm just looking at what I have available in my panel right now, so I don't have to go looking for anything else. And we're just looking for things that are a little bit more on the boxy side, a little more on the sci-fi side, of course. And we want a little bit of that futuristic-y pop. That wasn't it. Something like that could potentially work. There's one I've got in mind, and I'm not sure where it is. I wonder if it's not in my box right now. Where is that? I don't know. Keep the name ideas coming, though. I do appreciate those. I can't actually see them because my screen is up over it. As I'm looking for these fonts, what gives? What gives? Let's see. No. I'm not seeing any of these. Why am I not seeing the things that I need? I have a ton of them because I do a lot of dystopian covers, and I'm not seeing them. Maybe I'm just like completely overlooking them. Or maybe they're not here. Why would they not be here? Oh, okay. That could potentially work. The beginning of the end, City Haven. Oh, City Haven. That's a good one. Okay, okay. So let me just type that in. That's definitely got that dystopian sci-fi vibe. I like that. And we'll just pop that right in here just to kind of see. How that's starting to look. That's starting to look pretty good. Yeah, let's go with that for now. And I think I want to play with my drop shadow just a little bit. I think I want to pull this up. No, I don't. No, I don't. That was not what I meant to do. There we go. That's what I meant to do. So I just changed that a little bit. I'm going to drag the effects to the other one to make sure that they are both similar to that. And then I think I actually want to do a little pop of color behind it just to make it stand out a little bit more against her sleeve and against that jacket. So I'm actually going to go beneath this. And I am just going to grab my gradient tool. And I'm going to make sure I'm on color over transparent and grab the linear tool. And then make sure I'm on white. And I'm just kind of, I didn't want that particular glow there. I'm just kind of making it pop a little bit in certain areas so that it stands out just a little bit more. And I actually want to go over her sleeve just a touch, but not a ton. So I just put it on a separate layer and I lowered that opacity. This looks pretty good so far. I am liking this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate one of my words. And we might even actually put the author name down below. I'm not sure yet. So let me go ahead and type out author name. And this can either, it's small and go up here on top, or, let me center that, or we can also make it smaller and put it down under the top. Really? That's the game we're going to play now? We're going to put it under this title here. So I'm just going to make this smaller. I think I like it up at the top, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave it just like that. And we may actually have to go into the effects panel on the author name. And we may have to see about adding in a little bit of a glow just so it stands out a little bit up at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on outer glow. And I am going to just kind of make the size a little bit bigger. There we go. So you can kind of see, I can turn that on and off for you. You can see how it lightened it a little bit so it pops just a little bit more. Not bad. Not bad at all. I may want to add a little flare down on the title. So I am just going to, did I delete my flares? I might have deleted my flares. I reused the same ones as the time before, so I just delete the stuff we did last week. Let me go ahead and save this, and I'm going to grab my brushes for my flares, and I'm going to add those in so that I can access them inside of my Photoshop. And that's just going to take a second while that loads, and while we do, I'm going to grab some water for this. Of course, we're going to have to add in the title and stuff on the spine. We are going to have to change that hook line on the back. We're going to do a little bit of work on the back cover because it's a bit busy for the words. But you can kind of see where we're going. It's just stalling for a second as it loads my brushes. So we're just going to give it a second. We're just going to give it another second. Oh, there we go. We got it. We got it. We're good. We can move on. Super exciting information with that one. And I am just going to go ahead and I'm going to add a layer. I'm going to grab my brush. I'm going to go into my brush panel and I am going to go down to the brushes that I just added and I'm going to grab the folder that I need and I'm going to scroll down until I get to my flares. And I think I'm just going to use my round flare brush on 100% opacity. I'm just going to come in. I'm on the back cover, so if you're watching, it's on the back cover over the hook line. And I'm just going to tap on a flare. And then I'm going to go into my layers panel. I'm going to go down to layer style and to outer glow. And I'm going to change the color to like a bluish color. So you can kind of see how that already started to work. And I'm just going to pull that up a little bit. And then I'm going to just be able to drag this over to something like that. And I'm just going to move it a little bit until I decide where I want it. Oh, I like that. It's up at the top of the A right now. And I am just kind of seeing where it might fit in somewhere else as well. Oh, okay, that works. I can run with that. I can run with that. That works. So I'm glad that you guys are here hanging out, checking all the fun things out with us. I may actually put one of these flares up at the author name as well. But I do have to drag it on top of that layer. There we go. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because we don't need it quite as big. And so I am just going to figure out where that might fit nicely. And we're just kind of seeing where it fits. I might have to adjust that just a little bit. Yeah, that works. That works for me. And that, of course, if somebody buys it, that will kind of change locations based on what their author name is. But I really do like how this looks. This is looking good, friends. Ooh, I do like this. So then my next step is to group my author name and flare into a folder. I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to click Edit, Transform down to 90 degrees clockwise. And I'm going to shrink this, and I put it here on the spine. This will look different, friends, based on the size of the spine, so I'm not going to worry too much about this. But hey, Sophie, thanks for joining. I am going to be putting my title right inside of a folder as well, duplicating that, rotating that 90 degrees, and putting that on the spine. Again, not super worried about it because it will look a little bit different, but we will darken up this spine. So for the moment, I'm just going to make sure it fits within the frame, and I am going to come down to the layer right below her. And I am just, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I'm just going to create kind of like a box around where I want it to be dark. And then I'm going to grab a brightness and contrast panel, and without clipping it to anything, I'm going to drag my brightness on this down. And you can kind of see how this is already starting to like make things pop a little bit. And I don't want to do the entire thing, so I actually want to grab my soft round brush, 100% opacity. And I am just going to start painting this off. But I don't want it everywhere. I do just kind of want it in certain places. I'm starting to kind of move this a little bit. You can see the difference. And then I'm going to reduce my opacity on this so it's not a super harsh line as we create this. And I'm just painting it off of where I don't want it. And you can kind of see how it's starting to blend in a little bit there. There we go. There we go. And we're just removing some of it that we don't need. Beautiful. Okay, so that darkened it up. That makes it pop a little bit more. And again, will be different when we get to that point. But for now, the next thing that I do need to do is get rid of that hook line, that fancy hook line. And I do need to duplicate one of my other layers and drag that to the back so we can add the fancy hook line to this. And I'm just going to move this right on over here and type in fancy hook line for that. And if you are just jumping in as I go ahead and resize this, I want you to remember, if you are an author or publisher and this is your book cover, you have until I finish today's live stream to say that you want this for only $100 while we're live on air. Otherwise, it goes back into coveraday.com where it will be full price, which will be quite a bit more expensive. This is going to be like a $250 cover to $300-ish cover. So if you want it, now's your time. You got to get it before I do, because I'm for sure over here for this. I was trying to darken that up. I may actually try the opposite, lightening that up. Sometimes you just got to go to the lighter side of things, friends. We've got those two options there, and we can actually do that on the spine as well. We might try that while we're here to see what's going to look best for this. So I'm just going to come down to that layer where I added that in. There we go. And I am going to, on that brush, I'm just going to kind of make that a little bit lighter as well. So that popped. That could potentially work for me. At which point, I would drag this down beneath the staircase. Aha. Nope. It's gonna have to stay over it, which means I am just going to remove it on pieces of this. I'm just gonna brush it off on part of the stairs here. There we go. There we go. If we can work with that, I'm fine with that. So you can kind of see how that goes and where that is. I do want to tweak just a little bit of that. So I'm just looking for the layer that I have that on, and that would be this one right here. So I'm just going to lower that opacity just a little bit, and then I'm going to bump up the drop shadow around that just a tiny bit. Oh, there we go. Okay. So then at that point, the only thing I've got left to do is to play with my brightness and contrast. And for more covers like this, you can head on over to coveraday.com and let me know in the comments what type of cover should we make next week. I'm not done quite yet, but what type of cover do you think I should make next week? Should we go dystopian? Should we do a should we go with like a fantasy cover? Should we do paranormal romance? Should we do a couple? Should we do a girl on a pretty desk? Should we do a princess cover? What should we do next week? Go ahead and vote now. I'm just going to turn my frame on and off so you can kind of see how that looks. And I think I want to do a little bit of grounding, just a tiny bit of grounding with this. So I'm just going to add a blank layer, and then with my gradient tool on radial, black, I wanted black, not white. I'm just going to come in and I'm going to add some shadow along the bottom, just in certain places, just along the edges as well, just to make it stand out a little bit. Not everywhere. We're not adding like, oh gosh, what's it called? I don't remember. We're not adding that. We are just kind of grounding this a little bit in certain areas. And putting some shadow in along that step down there. Oh, I really love this. This might need to be one of my books. I'm just saying. You're still waiting for the text cover. Danielle, we've done that several times for you, baby boo. I've done that a couple times in the last couple of months. I'm just saying. I think you missed those. But we did do those. Those are over on coveraday.com. Cover with two people will be cool too. Okay, couples. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to save this. This is your absolute last chance if you are an author or publisher and this is your book cover. Get it now, because if you don't, it very well may be one of my upcoming books. I just happen to really like this. Otherwise, it's going into coveraday.com, and it will be pretty expensive because I do like it, but I haven't written it yet. So now's your chance, your only chance. Otherwise, we are going to be here again next week, and we will be creating a new type of cover for you. We'll be voting, as always, over on Instagram stories. So I hope you guys will come and join me for all of the fun. And make sure you stay tuned and hit the subscribe and notification bell here on YouTube, because I'm dropping some really cool videos over the next couple of weeks you do not want to miss out on. And pro tip here, if you guys are writers, I'm about to launch a brand new, super cool expert live stream where you guys will be able to join me in a Facebook group, a closed Facebook group, to ask experts like a SWAT team guy, a SWAT breacher and former detective. We've got a pilot, an airline captain, let's be clear. We've got an aquatics girl, so anything with like lifeguarding or pools or CPRE type stuff, like watery safety stuff. Girls got you. We've got an equestrian girl we might be working with. We've got some other a lawyer who's going to be involved with this. You can come and ask your book questions. I'm going to be dropping information on that soon, but that's your little teaser for this. If it were your book, what would you write about using that cover? Oh, Sophie, I've got so many dystopians here hanging out. This actually reminds me of one of the books that I've already written and maybe tweaking for you guys, because it's not one that's out yet, that I wrote back before I was published. So it could potentially be that one. We don't know. We'll find out. I have some ideas, though. All right, friends, stay tuned. Hit the subscribe and notification bell if you have not, because we're building up our YouTube channel here, and I will see you again for next week's live stream as we create a new book cover live on air with you guys getting to help and make decisions all about what we're creating in our covers. Thank you all so much for joining. See you over on TikTok and Instagram, where we're dropping some cool content for you today. Make sure you leave some love. And I'm actually headed over to TikTok right now to drop a really cool story time series where I tell you how I met the Disney animator who created The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. So head